And then went to the intro.
Yeah, and then play the intro. You're running live now. Hit your intro.
Well, that was a bit of an embuggerance. Evidently, I hit 2 wrong buttons, or hit one button insufficiently hard enough, or the second button not sufficiently. And then I accidentally hit the let's just end it, and that was a stupid thing to do. Okay, let me try this all over again. This is brought to you by the Rising Tide Network. All the things on the schedule are going to have to eventually be reworked because there are things that have moved around and there are new programs coming up, and some of them will be premiering soon. And that's really neat. And let me pop in the other guys who have been sitting patiently backstage while I totally screwed everything up.
Easy to be patient when you've got a refrigerator full of beer.
Yeah.
Now I just jumped in to make sure everything was going all right and trying to squash a few bugs.
So how are the puppies? For those of you who weren't on the earlier show, Joe's dog is having puppies again.
She's still heavy panting, so we just have to wait and see. Maybe a long night, but yeah, I'm gonna jump out of here, guys. I just want to make sure everything's rolling good. Let you guys get going.
All right. Well, thank you.
I sent Bill Sarton a link.
So did I.
Okay.
Same link, I hope. Although knowing my level of confusion at the time, it might have been for something 2 weeks ago, and they'd be sitting there going, "Where is everybody?"
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's the second Joe dog.
One of them is bad. Now there's 2 of us. There's Bill.
Yeah, and
sorry. Let's try and get rid of that joker.
Really?
Wrong joker. Okay.
All right, now see if I can get that jerk out of here. All right.
But it's my show.
All right.
I had a hard time getting in.
Well,
we had to reschedule.
That's because I screwed up, Bill.
In 2 minutes.
Believe me. it's a short and sordid story, but I didn't hit the second button, and then I hit the third button by mistake.
But everything's running now.
Everything is running now. Let me see what I can do here. Buy that book, please. Leave me a review.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Good night.
This one too.
Good night.
Good night, Joe.
All right, y'all have a good one. Bye.
You too. And good luck with the puppies wherever they happen to come out. Oh, heavenly day! Yeah, Bill. I really.
So,
it wasn't a shark jumping moment. It was more like a skipping stone. So.
Well, I was going to say, did you pull do what Skunk did a couple weeks ago? Hit the end broadcast or whatever it was.
I did when I realized that I had not hit the go live button the second time like you're supposed to. You've got to go live, and you got time to queue things up, and then you hit the go live again. And I never hit it the second time. And in my frustration, I hit the end broadcast. So Joe graciously jumped in and rescheduled everything and popped out the link for everybody. So it's entirely on me. I wish I could get used to some of this, but and I had been doing very well until well, let's just leave it at that. I had been doing very well, but then I wasn't. So anyway,
and this is why I don't have my own show. So
bring on the dancing girls. No, wait a minute. We don't have that audience.
You know, I think it's just hard to switch from the first show to the second show because I know several times Joe has, hey, start the show for me. I'm like, what? And I'm cold opening kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, at least we don't have somebody like Lewis that's set up and ready to do the opening blurb and news broadcasts like Lewis does, and he's a professional. So he's got everything set up and ready to go. And then if it'd been he were doing it for me, and I'd trip over my own 2 feet and accidentally end the damn broadcast before we ever got started, he would have a right to be annoyed. So let's hope that our viewers, all one of you, and
I think that's me actually.
No, that's Josh.
Oh, is it?
Actually, it's a red button, and the end thing is also the red button. So if they get like Doctor Who, why is there never a big red button? Well, if you got 2 big red buttons, which one do you pick? So can't walk across the desert dragging the ultimate weapon going no more. It's not my shtick. So.
And how you was talking about the shadow over one eye last night, Dan, I got the whole side of my face tonight because I got home so late from my date night with my niece, and of course I had to talk to my little sister a little bit after I took her back. She has a cat who is suffering kidney failure, and she's been trying to nurse it back to health as much as she can, and with Pedialyte and water mixture and eye droppers. And so I had to find out information how she's doing with that. And then I drove home in a potential tsunami. We were getting buku rain. We had the western part of the state today had tornadoes, straight line winds of 65 to 70 mile an hour.
That's impressive.
All kinds of wonderfulness, and we got rain in the forecast for the next 7 days. But yeah, I come home. I was hydroplaning all the way back from Danville, so I just didn't bother to set up the mic and the tablet and everything, and I just said, heck with it. I'm just doing the holding my phone and doing the earbuds.
I pretty much believe that Josh's question is for you. Did that tornado get close to you? Or,
No.
And my question is, did you know it was a tornado to start with?
Yeah, oh yeah, we were watching our local CBS affiliate was doing live broadcast for like 4 hours straight. They cut into regular programming, and then when they wasn't cutting into that, they were online. So I was watching the whole thing transpire. The closest that any one of the tornadoes that we had today got to us was probably about 45 miles away from us. So it was
that's a good distance to keep a tornado at.
Yeah. They had one of the guys or a couple of the meteorologists at the station. One of them, he was out in a storm tracker unit, and he took his drone with him, they had some major flooding issues, and one of them was took out a bridge. It looked like it just stripped the top of the bridge like you were pulling duct tape off of something. And so they had to shut the bridge down. So he got out there with his drone and was getting some incredible footage of that. One area got 8 inches of rain inside of 3 hours. It was a very interesting day.
Sounds it. Now that area that got the extreme rain, are they prepared for that sort of thing?
Whoever is, I mean.
Well, I mean,
yeah, they, it's they use the logic of don't drown, turn around. If you see it going across the road, and it was going across a 4-lane highway, so it wasn't like it was a little county road.
Like fun.
No, yeah, you think, well, a little county road or something, and no, this was a 4-lane highway that was getting flooded, and then they ended up shutting it down. So yeah, what the South was getting the last several days, and that we're experiencing something similar to that.
We did have a couple of rough days, but there wasn't any tornado speed winds. It was all just massive rainstorms blowing through, and thankfully they kind of in my area at least, they kind of thinned out and split around the property. So people on either side of me were getting drenched, and we were getting just a little sprinkle. There's some land formation here nearby that causes most of the really bad storms that come up from the Gulf to just kind of go around where I live, and it will be awfully bad for people on either side of me within about 500 yards at either side. But right here, it's like we've got shields going, and I wish that was the case, because there's been some nasty weather. There's an oak tree right across the road from my house. I can see it every time I pull it out of the driveway. It's in the middle of a cow and sheep and horse pasture, and the top of it has been corkscrewed off by the tornado that came through a month or so ago. And some of my neighbors have had severe tornado damage, and just more winds than what we got. Just right next door, and that just goes to show you how capricious that the weather can be. You could be totally safe in one spot and walk a few steps and get blown away.
Mm-hmm.
But, our local creek has still been right up at the top of its banks, and those banks have been being carved out for probably about 1,000 years or so. That creek was definitely here when the U.S. became British colonies. A couple of oak trees back here were witnesses to that fact too, but they don't talk much, so I haven't been able to get them to do an interview or anything.
I was going to say, if you got Josh on here, he runs a weather group down there in his area, and they have access to all the proper tools that all the meteorologists and that use down there. But he's quite knowledgeable of this sort of thing, and there's a United Weather Network that he's one of the originators of, and I was sharing today's live broadcast up here of our fabulous weather in that, and then we were talking to each other on Zello, the little walkie-talkie app, and that, and they get that way he was actually following everything along on his radar and everything through all the, like I said, the tools that he has access to, but obviously you or I don't, but
hey, that would be really handy, but I don't know if he could what's the word? I don't know if he could actually groom it to be responsive to the area I'm in as well as where he's at, because y'all are a bit further north than me by about 8 hours drive. So
yeah. Well, like I say, he's down there by Tuscaloosa, and
okay, he's right next door.
Yeah. I'm the furthest north, I think, of us.
Yeah, because John's up in Tennessee, and and I'm down here east of Atlanta by about 90 miles, and Tuscaloosa is over in Alabama, and it's not relatively. It's probably about as far away as John is from me, maybe a little bit further, but not a significant amount. And
they were doing a live broadcast every week, and I believe they were using StreamYard there. The one guy in their group, Morgan, and I can't think of his last name, but anyway, this is a high school kid who is definitely going to be a meteorologist and then some. I don't know. Well, he might go a lot further than that, but
if he's got the gift, he's got the gift.
Oh my Lord. This kid, he's like a prodigy or something. I don't know. He's got the lingo down pat. He knows his stuff, and Josh can tell you. And they definite asset to that group, and that it's one of those things that he can just break it all down, just like the guys on the TV and that, and he does it in a way that is really easy to follow, compared to like how a lot of them do and that.
Well, I've got to say, he and Josh could probably get some benefit out of something that Stephanie Osborne does from Huntsville, Alabama. She's got she's gotten into the habit of doing tropical storm stuff from not only the Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, but out in the Pacific as well. And she just puts it up on her Facebook. The Osborne, is it not the Cosmic Weather Report? Is it, John?
No, the new one she's got. Let me see. I'll go look.
Okay, appreciate it. She also does space weather, which would be the Cosmic Weather Report, whether or not you're getting CME flares from the sun that are going to cause all kinds of electrical problems down here within a few days of some sunspot or prominence erupting or something like that. And she's just, she does this for fun. She's not part of a group or anything. She just enjoys looking up the information and passing it along. So they might want to tie into that and benefit from what work she's doing. She's also a storm spotter, and although she's not inclined to be a storm chaser anymore, so she'll go through the databases and look up stuff that's going to be affecting our area or her in our area. But then she's in northern Alabama, and as I remember, Josh is in Tuscaloosa, so that's isn't that southern Alabama?
Yeah, where he lives is a little place called Foster's, but it's the closest thing to it that anybody would know would be Tuscaloosa. So, but yeah, they have a lot of storm spotters affiliated with the group, and then there's other groups that have tied in with the United Weather Network. Midwest Storm Spotters, which they're based, I believe, up in Chicago. They've been a recent tie-in with that. Try to keep, because the United Weather Network, originated, just everybody was from the South and that, but then when I got in it and a bunch of others, and then I invited a lot of my Facebook friends to join the group, and that it was just to get where you could get in when something was going on, like what we had today.
Yeah.
And if we didn't have the people that I was watching already, kind of really covering it, you can get in and ask these people about it. And once again, they could, do that voodoo that they do so well and give you some detailed information and kind of map out, the path and that everything's going. We had a little bit of everything today here, and it was tracking northwest, but I'm clear east central Illinois, fairly close to the Illinois-Indiana state line. So yeah, it really, it was kind of hit or miss. So we lucked out on, not having any tornadic activity. We were still definitely getting the straight line storms.
Well, when it's hit or miss, you hope it don't hit too hard.
Right. That's just it.
Well, now, Josh, Stephanie used to be working control panel at Mission Control for Space Shuttle missions. So this lady knows her science. And she has fun looking up things and providing information to other people. So, it's a good thing that she does. Sometimes Facebook goes all goofy and thinks she's trying to sell something when she's trying to do a weather report. Go figure. I mean, and it's like, maybe if Facebook would behave as if they weren't being run by a title
robot overlords.
robot overlord, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A failed clone of Commander Data. Good Lord. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I keep being sarcastic like that, because one of these days I'm going to open my mouth and I'm not going to be able to pull my foot out of it fast enough. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, those stormtroopers will be knocking on your door, Dan.
They might run into a minefield.
Tired of keeping the weapons loaded.
Really,
not really, but it,
the springs in those magazines are going to get weak after a few years.
Well, you have to buy 20, 30 of
them. You could hire Nick Talkert to guard your door for you, Dan.
I don't want nothing to happen, Nick. I swear. No. I'll do it myself. He's got another purpose in life than to be one of my minions. Let me tell you. He's a natural born teacher if there ever was one.
I was there that night when there was the comment about his uninvited guest and his reaction to that. It was quite entertaining.
I must have missed that one. I really must have. But it would be nice if Nick could come on this late at night, and sometimes he could, but most of the time he's got his little boy he's got to take care of, and I understand that completely.
Right.
And as odd as it may seem, he's probably got a normal life too.
I can't remember what show. Yeah, it was.
What odds can I get on that?
Better odds than evens, I'll tell you. No, I don't remember what show that it was actually on when. I know that the one when his backdrop attacked him was one of his historical fencing guild broadcasts. Evidently, he got a little bit too wild with the practice sword, and all of a sudden, the backdrop for his broadcast just kind of poof down on him, like the Blob and the one, the one from the Steve McQueen era Blob, not the second one, which was kind of cheesy, but the first one that was really frightening.
I don't know if it was in the middle of one of his shows or if he was in the green room or whatever, and then he had the uninvited guest, and he was on camera in that, and then he had some sort of battle axe or something in his hand, and he was proceeding to meet him at the door with it.
I don't remember that one myself, but it would be totally in character. And
well, you know how hyped up he gets.
Yeah, but it's not like he's Billy Badass. It'd be, I've got to protect my children, my boy, and my wife. I've got to do this and go check and see who is knocking at the door at that time of night.
Let's give the Tasmanian Devil historical weapon here. Let him go answer the door.
I believe the
But
proper word for that is Cuisinart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Spin factor, warp 6. Oh, my goodness. We do know some interesting people, don't we, guys?
Obviously.
I mean, seriously, we are acquainted with some really, really fascinating folks. They've got an entire range of knowledge that we just kind of brush up against every once in a while.
Kind of like the Mormon Church last night.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the only reason I know anything about that is because my wife grew up Church of England, which is basically Episcopal over here.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
And yeah, and then she got with the Adventists because that was the closest thing. Because in our area there are no Episcopalian churches. You've got to go to Atlanta to get that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's 90-minute drive. So we're not doing that, but there are a couple of nice congregations of Adventists in the area, and they're very, very welcoming. Nice bunch of folks.
I think I found out more about the Mormon Church last night than I did in the last 10 years, actually.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the good things about something like this. People will come in and they'll know stuff you never even thought about asking questions about, and they're more than willing to give you the details. I mean, John could tell us all kinds of things that we would never even think to ask about being in the military, especially when it came to blowing shit up.
I'll tell you exactly what I told this one kid that wanted to know what it's like joining the military. I took him over to the janitor's closet, opened the door. So you see that mop bucket? See that mop? See that floor buffer? That's 90% of being in the military right there.
You don't sit on it and ride it, son.
No. Not during duty hours.
Not when anybody can catch you.
The trick is you got to suspend the cable from the ceiling. Just so you know.
But that's what Don Knotts did in The Reluctant Astronaut, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that well, actually.
And I think Jim Varney did the same thing in Ernest Goes to Jail.
That one I don't remember that well. I remember Ernest Goes to Camp, and I remember Ernest Saves Christmas, and I remember the local commercials that he did. But
what was it? The heating or energy saving, something like that. Saving energy.
Yeah, well, he did a lot of things. I mean, he did adverts for dairies, local milk suppliers.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, all kinds of things.
Linder's Milk.
I mean,
Jim
basically,
Varney.
Yeah, he was an actor in search of a paycheck, and he had a talent for being able to present things in ways that people would easily comprehend. So, more power to him, and may he rest in peace. I miss him to this day.
Oh, I'd laugh till there was tears in my eyes with some of the stuff that he did.
I did not know this. He was in the TV version, the television version of Operation Petticoat.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that either.
Must have been decked out.
And he briefly had his own Saturday morning live action show that
Yeah.
was similar to Pee-wee's Playhouse.
But much more interesting, let me tell you.
Okay, let's see,
Oh,
movies. Ernest Goes to Camp.
I love that.
He won the Razzie Award for Worst New Star. Let's see.
He
Then
probably would have liked that.
His TV series was called Hey Vern, It's Ernest.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hey, Vern, it's your old buddy Ernest.
Yeah. Ernest Saves Christmas. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Scared Stupid. Ernest Rides Again. Ernest Goes to School. Slam Dunk Ernest.
There's several of those I'm going to have to
Ernest
look up.
Goes to Africa. And Ernest in the Army.
Yeah. Ernest Scared Stupid starred Eartha Kitt in a very, very good role that she played in that for that. But the reference that I was of the Ernest movie Goes to Jail about what you were talking about with the military, John. He is a janitor or maintenance man at a local bank, and he works third shift, and he gets out the floor buffer and that plugs it in and proceeds to go for a ride on it. I mean, it goes up the side of the walls and across the top of the ceiling. He gets to the middle of the ceiling, and then the plug comes out the wall, and he's like, hey, and then just drops straight down. It's typical Jim Varney humor.
That
You either
sounds like
love
a
it or
very
hate it.
Looney Tunes sort of moment there.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Gravity works.
He was also in Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire,
Mhm.
which was released a year after his death and was dedicated to his memory.
Oh, and he played Jed Clampett in the
Jed
Beverly
Clampett and
Hillbillies.
Beverly Hillbillies.
Yep, and did a damn good job too.
Oh yeah.
I still think the one line that
And of
always
course,
comes to mind
he
was
was
from
Slinky. He was Slinky Dog in Toy Story.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The one line that always comes to mind when I think of him is in Ernest Save Christmas when he accidentally got a hold of Santa's sleigh and got it up at the apogee of its flight and could not figure out how to get it to drop down to a safe altitude. And he just looks around at the people in the sleigh and goes, nobody moves, nobody dies. And then somebody sneezes.
But I can't remember which Ernest movie it was, but he ended up getting blown up by some dynamite or something like that. And at the end, it shows his face all black and charcoal, and his hair is smoking, and he says, I came, I saw, I got blowed up.
Oh,
And
sounds like
you were talking about the Linder milk commercials that he used to do.
Yep.
He did one, and I think you might be able to find it on YouTube. It's hilarious. He's in a park, and the little metal merry-go-round thing that you would grab a hold of the metal bars and it'd spin around and around, and he would talk about, he was always talking to Vern, and he would say, Vern, be able to, defy gravity on this merry-go-round, and it shows him going faster and faster on this thing. He goes, you got to develop strong muscles and bones. And the only way you can do that is with Linder milk, and that, and it just keeps getting faster as he's going, and his face is starting to peel back, and from the G forces of going around on the merry-go-round, and it shows going around, and then all of a sudden you don't see him anymore, and you see the merry-go-round going around, and then it comes around, and then you see him laying unconscious on the ground next to the merry-go-round where he couldn't hold on anymore.
It's a wonder. Some of the playground equipment we had as children back in the 60s, it's a wonder we survived. I mean, seriously, I remember swing sets that were seemed like 50 feet tall, and these dog chains coming down to hold the seats and everything, and people just pumping for all they're worth, and they're going out almost vertical on both sides, and I'm going, yeah, when you wrap around that sucker, it's going to be a bad day. But and you can still there are photographs on different websites where you can see playground equipment like that, and I mean very very similar. And it's like, how did we live through being so uncontrolled with no OSHA anything anywhere, never been invented yet, no rules, just fun, and sometimes people got hurt and got told to get up and walk it off. My leg is broken. Well, get up and walk it off. No, that one probably never happened. Probably, I don't know. Some places it might have, but
we had those kind of swing sets like that in Cherokee, and they would have like 6 or 8 swings in a big double section, and all the kids were all swinging on them and that. And if you were waiting to get a swing and that, you just didn't want to stand there. So the little game that we perfected was we would stand at the end of one of them, and we would run from one side to the other through the middle of it without getting hit by the kids who are swinging on the swing.
that could be a challenge. Let me tell you, there are entire physics classes devoted to that stuff. Yeah.
I got hit a couple times, and it literally lifted my feet off the ground.
Oh yeah,
and I was in a fetal position for about 5 minutes afterwards.
Average weight child in something like that has got some inertia built up. Let me tell you, they will knock you out of the way, which evidently you got knocked out of the way. It doesn't pay to be slow when you're playing improvised games on a playground, especially back then, because the teachers just look and go, "Come on, you got another half an hour of recess. Get up. Don't make me call the nurse." Oh.
Climbing to the top of the monkey bars and then slipping and falling.
Oh yeah. I remember one school I went to in Clinton, Tennessee. They had a set of high bars like you do pull-ups from, and I got up there, and evidently I had a talent for pulling myself up like a gymnast and swinging around the top of the thing, coming out where my arms were holding me up, but my legs were still dangling in midair, and I'm a little kid, and I tried to get down, and evidently I took the fast route and went right on the concrete. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was laughing about it, I probably would have wound up going to the school nurse. But just because I was laughing about it, they thought, that didn't hurt as much as it looked like it should have. Stupidity should be painful, boy. Go up there and do it again. Oh, heavens. Some of us had childhoods we should not have survived, but yet we did.
Oh, yes, we rode in the back of pickup trucks.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Rode in the back of the station wagon.
Seat belts had not been invented.
Yeah. I remember my mom, we had a 67 Buick Wildcat. I distinctly remember laying up in the back window on long road trips because the kids kept kicking me in the seats. Everyone in that middle seat, because it had the armrest that came down, everybody wanted to sit on the armrest. I'll be asleep up here in the sun.
Yeah, really.
Well, everybody up front have the air conditioner going, meat locker, and it's middle of summer, and you're like, I'm freezing in the car. Give me a blanket. Hush, get the air conditioner running. I know.
Really.
So I'd crawl up in that back window, and it had, I don't know if you remember, it had the black wicker covering, and the speakers were up underneath it and everything. So you can lay back there and listen to the radio and get suntan and just
be nice and warm from the solar heating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember many interstate trip where my brother and sister and I were in the back of the pickup truck for like 5 hours going down an interstate highway, and nobody thought anything about it. Now, we knew better than have one of the dogs back there, because they'd have to be on a leash and tied in to keep from jumping over the edge. But us kids, who cared if we jumped over? I mean, seriously. They can always have more.
And of course, we didn't know what a motorcycle helmet was like back then, except Evel Knievel occasionally wore one.
Yeah. Well, he had good reason. I mean, he broke what?
Every
2/3 of every bone in his body.
And then, what were some of the other? We had mini bikes, and go-karts.
Yeah.
You remember the three-wheelers that suddenly started killing everybody? So dumb people weren't allowed to buy them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, three-wheelers. Yeah. Everybody.
Mules, I remember them being called, but that may have just been one brand.
Yeah, I believe it was, and it was a fairly decent brand, but the ones that were sold for kids were just some of the regular motorcycle brands, and once it became known that three-wheel motorcycles were rather dangerous for children, and they could get hurt or killed or suffer permanent injuries. Three-wheelers kind of got phased out in favor of the four-wheelers, which were much more stable. But still, if you're dumb enough to drive something straight up a hill, and it's a really steep hill, and it's going to flip over backwards, it don't matter how many wheels you got, you're still stupid.
Hey, bitches, we had lawn darts.
Oh, I remember those.
Yep.
Hey, catch this. Ah!
Well,
stand still. I'm going to throw this right up in the air and try and hit you in the middle of your head.
We used to have bottle rocket wars.
Bottle rocket wars.
Oh, yeah.
Roman candle wars.
Did y'all actually get a piece of aluminum conduit to use the bottle rockets as if they were PVC? No, this was before PVC existed.
Really? I think I remember having PVC pipe liner.
I grabbed my grandmother's Coca-Cola bottles, and she'd be all upset because
The
she'd
32-ounce returnable Coca-Cola bottles.
Oh yeah.
The big some bitch. It's like that big around. Those were great for bottle rockets. Pickle jars too. Those were great.
We just had
big gallon pickle jars. They were great because you could put like 50 bottle rockets around the rim, and just we used to get railroad flares at the fireworks store. Light one and use that to light all the fuses on the bottle rockets.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a time when we had something at work that I can't describe it because it's copyrighted and I'll get in trouble. But the entire thing had this cardboard core that was either 2 feet or 3 feet long, depending on what we were using. And it's the cardboard. It was pressed paper. It was about inch and a half, almost inch and 3/4 thick. So it's good, solid stuff. I mean, it's not flimsy anything. And one year for New Year's, I took it up to the end of the driveway, and I had all kinds of fireworks that I had gotten from somewhere. I didn't buy them. Somebody had pretty much said, "Here, take these." And I was setting these buggers off. I mean, bottle rockets would go straight up. It's like a mortar. And we actually had some of the larger firework rounds that behaved like mortars. So you light this.
They call them mortar rounds.
Yeah, you light it, you drop it down in the tube, and you walk away for a couple of feet, and boom, poof.
My favorites are the cannon salutes. You fire them, you hear that boom. You go up there, and all of a sudden, oh whoa!
Yeah,
that's all they do.
Exactly.
Bright white flash and oh whoa!
Oh, Josh is fixing to go to bed. So good night, Josh.
3 minutes to 2 o'clock.
Good night, Josh. Yeah.
Yep. I've got to run off to the restroom. I will be right back, gentlemen, to try and amuse yourselves without blowing up the planet.
That takes all the fun out of it, don't it?
I'll pick my nose. That's always amusing. No, we did all right as far as not getting too horribly disembodied by some of the stupid stuff we did back in the 70s.
But you remember, just like me, when a quarter meant something.
Oh, yeah.
You had a quarter that was a gallon of gasoline, comic book, Coca-Colas, just use all the things you could buy.
Yeah, bottle. Yeah,
quarter.
16-ounce bottle of pop, and not the 12-ounce or the 8-ounce Coca-Cola, but a 16-ounce bottle. We could get that, or Mountain Dew, or whatever your preference was. And I think candy bars were still 20 cents at the time. So, 50 cents could get you a candy bar and a can or a bottle of pop and still have a little bit left over.
Do you remember marathon bars?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They were like this long, and it was caramel that had been dipped in chocolate. And it was that little caramel. Oh, I used to love that thing. Of course, they were hard to eat in the summer. You had to eat them real fast.
The
Zots.
Used to run the marathon bar commercials on the Every Day is Saturday page. And it was always like a Western, or one time I think it was like some Yukon looking character or whatever, and then all of a sudden the marathon man would come in, with the marathon bar. We had Charleston Chews when they were big. Well, I think they still real long. And what we would do is we put them in the freezer and freeze them, and then
And
we
break
get them out and then just smack them on the counter. And they'd break up into a million pieces, but they would still stay in the
Okay.
package.
Apparently, they don't make the Marathon bar anymore, but they do
No.
have a British version from Cadbury called a Curly Whirly. It's basically the same thing. Good news, Curly Whirlies are back, and you can find them here. And they've got a link.
Wow. Well, last night, while I was listening,
Let's see, they're $1.59 each.
what was it? Oh, in the green room, Keisha and Kara and all them, they were talking. Well, they were both vegan or vegetarian, whatever. I'm mostly a vegetarian. I call myself a flabby vegetarian. But they're talking about all this stuff, and then I'm kind of looking at stuff on eBay while I'm watching and listening to them, and I found boxes of Quest cereal that Quaker Oats made. Now, Danville has a Quaker Oats plant there. So for the longest time, the local Danville grocery stores, you could still buy Quist cereal. And they're locally. Now, for whatever reason, they took it out and that, but you can find them online. So I found there are 4 boxes. Can't remember what I paid for them, but anyway, they're 8.5 ounce boxes of the cereal. And it's fresh. It's not like 1970s era Quist cereal, but I'd pay probably 5 times the amount if that was the case. But that was my favorite cereal for Saturday morning cartoon viewing. Yeah, Quist or Quake. Quake
Yep.
was basically kind of a honey sweetened version of Captain Crunch, which it was okay. But
I know that I actually my parents mail ordered the Quake hard hat for me. They didn't want to order the Quisp little space beanie sort of hat, the yellow plastic hard hat. Basically, it wasn't that hard of a hard hat. Let me tell you right now, you could just about put your finger through it if you were a stout little bugger. But it did have the little battery operated light, and since
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
my mom's father was a coal miner in Kentucky and Tennessee, so he actually had the real deal hard hat with a carbide light. So I knew what that was from an early age. It's just one of those fun things. Do you remember when you could buy half a dozen boxes of Captain Crunch and send in coupons, and they would mail you back a model of the Guppy?
I don't remember that.
It wasn't any flimsy little thing either. It was good, thick plastic. It was not.
Wow.
It was not waterproof. You couldn't set it in the bathtub and scoot it
I
around.
seem to remember that because there's something about the gun ports opened.
I don't remember that detail whatsoever, but it had slots in the bottom for the stand to fit in. So if you set it in water, it would eventually fill up.
Oh wow!
Now, do you remember the submarines? You put a little bit of Alka-Seltzer in it, and it'd sit there on the surface, then it would sink, then it'd come back up, then it would sink, come back up.
Yeah, you put baking powder in it.
Was it baking powder? That's the one I remember was like Alka-Seltzer, piece of Alka-Seltzer.
Well, both of them work the same way. Now, do you know that if you have a glass of champagne, you can drop a raisin in it, and it will do the same thing? Because of the wrinkles in the raisin, it will collect the carbonation
CO2
bubbles.
factor.
Yep, it will collect the carbonation bubbles from the champagne, and it will float to the top, and those bubbles will burst, and then it will sink back down to the bottom, and it will collect bubbles again. It's because of the shape of a raisin, all the wrinkles and everything. If you dropped a grape in it, it wouldn't do nothing.
Right.
That just goes to show you, with age comes wisdom to have fun with whatever you get dropped into.
Wisdom.
Those cereal.
You found out how to play with a raisin. That's not exactly wisdom.
Oh, come on. Get being amused when you're a poor boy. That's priceless.
Now, if you figured out how to make champagne from raisins, we could talk. Okay. Yes.
Hey, didn't have to worry about that.
I'm sure there is some sort of liquor that could be made out of raisins.
Uncle
Raisins
Bill
are great.
Uncle Bill had to steal
great.
back here.
There's a possibility, but
all you needed was some corn and a little bit of time and a fire and a running stream over the condensing coil, and try not to go use anything that was welded up copper, soldered, so you didn't get no lead in it. You could have a good time. If you make a mistake and there's something soldered up in there, like there were some revenues. There's some bootleggers that actually used a car radiator, and that had enough lead in the seams for it to really become some poisonous stuff. Might have tasted good.
but
Yeah, that's how a lot of people went blind on moonshine back in the day.
Well, another way was that during Prohibition, the government actually poisoned alcohol and let people buy it. Knowing that it was poisoned.
There is a really good movie, and I think it was a made-for-TV movie. I don't know, John, you might be able to Google it. I think it was called The Moonshine Wars, and Alan Alda was the main star in the movie. And he was a guy who was running some stills and stuff, and it was in his family and that, and then the trouble that they were having with the revenuers and that, and it was right. It had to have been early 70s, because he looked like he just jumped off the set of Match when he did this movie. And they used to show it on TV every once in a while. Whenever they did, I would always try to catch it, because
Moonshine War. He played John W. Martin.
There you go.
Everybody called him Son.
Son, yeah, exactly. That is a wonderful movie. It really, one of those underrated ones.
I remember one from when I was a kid. It was actually part of it was filmed.
Oh my gosh, that thing has an all-star cast. Got Patrick McGowan, Richard Widmark, Alan Alda, Melody Johnson, Will Greer, Joe Williams, Lee Hazelwood, Max Harry Carey Jr.,
wow,
Bo Hopkins.
That's an excellent pedigree there.
Let's see here. Terry Garr was in it?
Terry Garr was in everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't like to talk about it.
The writer was Elmore Leonard.
Oh, wow.
And the thing about it is they really played up the evilness of the revenuers, what they did.
Because he was trying to make, basically he knew that they were going to end Prohibition, so he was trying to make as much money as he could before they made it legal again. So.
And he does something spectacular at the end of the movie, which I will not say what it is to give it away, but in case you want to, see it online somewhere or whatever. But now that I'm talking about it, I may have to go look to see if I can find a DVD copy or something to buy on eBay or whatever.
Hey, yeah, that'll work.
I'm
There
sure.
was one when I was a kid that actually got part of the film footage was in downtown Clinton, Tennessee. I think it was called Thunder Road.
Yeah, that was with Robert Mitchum.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought he was in it, but it's just one of those things that always stuck with me. I think that my parents took us to a drive-in movie theater, and we watched it, and we could recognize the parts that were actually from Clinton. So whenever we went across that particular stretch of road, I'm going, "Oh yeah, I remember this from the movie. We're not driving that fast." There was okay. Here's a tangent for you. There was a movie called Poor Pretty Eddie that was filmed partly in Athens, Georgia, and some of the sets that they used were part of a seafood and whatnot restaurant. One of those. I hesitate to call it a greasy spoon because it was really excellent food, but it was Charlie Williams. Can't remember the rest of the name. Bless you. Charlie Williams Pinecrest Lodge. That's what it was. And basically, you went out past the University of Georgia, some of the agricultural areas for the egg school, and you went down this long and winding road, and you wound up with parking in this place. There's all gravel parking lots, had its own little lake, and they were all buildings that looked like they had been built out of flagstones and just whatever rock they could find. You go inside, the walls are covered with arrowheads and 1800s farm equipment. The harnesses they used to hook up two mules to a plow, that sort of thing, hanging on the wall or hanging from the ceiling. There were what you hoped were empty hornets' nests hanging around there as part of the decoration, and they had the best. They had the best shrimp. They had the best catfish. They had just steak and really simple salads and things like that. It was just one of those little hole in the wall places. Although it covered enough territory to where it could have been a theme park, although a very small one. But it was just some beautiful stuff, and it finally got sold for redevelopment into as an endless series of apartment buildings. The lake is probably still there, but the rest of it's long gone. But it was a fun thing. It was a fun place to go to. The food was great. Used to from the factory, we'd used to go there to have safety training days, and we'd go through all kinds of OSHA stuff and things like that. And then when we were through, we'd have a meal from the buffet at the restaurant. It's like just one of those places where nowadays a restaurant would be trying to live up to that, and most likely not being able to because it costs too much. to be able to do that sort of thing now and still turn a profit.
Yeah, the way you were describing that reminded me of a restaurant south of Rockville, Indiana, called the Longhorn Restaurant. It was literally made out of two barns put together.
Mm-hmm.
And the man who had started the restaurant in the early 70s, his name was Tex Terry, and he was one of the B cowboy stars from the, those B cowboy serials that they would have on in the 40s
I thought it
and
sounded
50s.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually met the gentleman one time, and but the whole place, if Cracker Barrel had not already existed, because I know they opened the first one in 1969, but if they had not already existed, this could have been the blueprint for it, just the way it was designed. And a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, the decor in the restaurant that you mentioned, very similar here.
Mm-hmm.
Except at the time when Tex Terry owned the Longhorn, he had a lot of his movie posters from all the B movies that he was in. He had his Western outfits and hat and boots and his gun rig and the little 45 and that, and then the whole ceiling was the canvas, like seed corn sacks and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he had it all lined, the whole top of it, and there was the downstairs was like a little small restaurant on one side and a bar on the other side that was separated. Then you had steps that went up to a big dining room area. Halfway up the steps on the landing was a stuffed coyote in a case. And then, but that's where they had the salad bar up there and the hot bar and stuff. And then over to one other side was the gift shop. So, once again, you'd think, gee, if this could have been, their version of the Cracker Barrel. And
Yep. Now
he eventually sold it.
The only thing that sort of place had or did not have back here during the 60s when it was really, really popular, because there was Charlie Webb's, there was Swamp Guinea, there was and now there's a place called Red Minnow, which is almost the same sort of thing, but it's brand new, so it wasn't built in 1900 like it looked like in the other two, but they didn't have the gift shop. It was just meeting hall and restaurant, basically function rooms and a restaurant, and there were several different buildings, but in order to get a meal you had to go into one main one, and it was just like I described, it's just hand built out of what looked like flagstones and whatnot that had come out of somebody's field. They just dug them up with a tractor and rinsed the dirt off and put concrete on it and put it in the wall.
Yeah, there was cornfields all around this place, with the one exception that they were on a creek, and there it was the Roseville covered bridge that went over that creek directly across from the restaurant. And the town that this was in was called Coxville, Indiana, which probably had 18 people for the population. You blink, you miss it. But the original name was Roseville, because you think, okay, the name of the town is Coxville, but why is it called the Roseville Covered Bridge? Well, it was initially named Roseville, and then a bunch of people, obviously with the name Cox, had bought up most of the area around there, and of course, in the early 1900s, renamed it. But,
yep. If you own the land in the area, you can rename it whatever you want.
and sadly, the place burned down in 2016. I guess there was once again an incident with somebody leaving a battery on a charger, a lithium ion, whatever, 20-volt battery or whatever. They left it plugged in. It got hot and heated some things up, and that was the end of it. And a very, very similar story about 10 years before that happened to a one-room schoolhouse that they had down in Marshall, Indiana. They had well, the last weekend of February and first weekend of March, they have the Maple Syrup Fair in Park County.
Yeah.
And they used to have about 25 different maple syrup camps all around the county. Yeah. And you go there and buy, you see it being made and buy it. And this one place, Archie and Bev Foxworthy ran Foxworthy's maple syrup camp, and they had.
I'm gonna hit the hay. It's been nice. I will see y'all next time.
Yep, I'm not long for it myself.
Yeah.
I was waiting on Bill to finish the story because I hate to interrupt Bill because he tells such good stories.
I could definitely save it for another time. That's no problem.
Okay, let me make a note over here. Maple syrup. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what I'm having tomorrow morning. So
yeah, you have
pancakes.
You having pancakes.
Yeah. And I did have them. I had them last night.
Maple syrup.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all next time.
All
okay.
right.
Good night, John.
Thank you for being here, John. And thank you, Bill. Like I said, I hate to interrupt you, but I've been going since about 8 o'clock this morning, and my batteries are running low.
Same here, and I got a decently long day tomorrow, and helping out with some things tomorrow afternoon, and got my church service that I watch Sunday mornings, which is Josh and Kimberly's uncle, who's the pastor of the Roseville Baptist Church. So I always fix my pancakes and watch the church service while I'm eating my pancakes every Sunday. Kind of a tradition there. So, but
hey, it's your form of communion.
That's right.
I bet nobody's ever said that before.
No, probably not. That's a different way of thinking of it. Yes.
Well, I do think differently from a lot of people.
Yeah. But I hope you get some rest tonight, and I hope I do too.
Yes, indeed. My wife's got to go up to Sunday school and church tomorrow. It might be her day to take care of the nursery, and she loves taking care of the little kids, and it's just one of those things where she just absolutely loves it. But I'm one of those people where once I go to sleep, please don't wake me up till I wake myself up, because I will be one ornery little bugger. So I will say something rude and don't even know what I'm saying because I hadn't had no coffee yet. Give me at least 2 cups of coffee before you actually ask me a serious question. Oh, my goodness.
Well, hopefully next time you see me, I will be better lit and back to the other microphone instead of the earbuds.
Oh, but that was working really well.
Well, I'm glad of it. It was just one of those, I had a very fun night with my niece Kayla, but we watching a movie. I took her to see the Peter Rabbit movie, and
Mhm.
and then we went out for ice cream afterwards at the DQ, and then took her
Made an
back
evening
home.
of it.
Made
Yeah.
an evening of it, and had to talk to my little sister. She always tells everybody I'm the big brother she never had, and I always would joke around and say she's the little sister I never wanted, but I'm glad I got her. So,
Yeah, really.
anyway. So it was just I just wasn't didn't just too tired to get all that set up for tonight. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
But
I
what you've got set up is working really well. That's a
um
good backup plan.
oh good. So but anyway, but you have a good evening, and
I'm certainly going to try. I'll be hitting the bed in just a few minutes. I don't believe I'm even going to go back to Facebook and see if anybody's messaged me about anything. So, um,
I but, and we'll see you next time.
yep, definitely next Thursday night, and hopefully in the green room on Friday as well as next Saturday night. And
Yeah.
maybe I will have gotten enough sleep during the daytime to where I could stay up all night like I'm supposed to for this show. But you know,
No, that's okay.
there are some times when tired Dan gets tired. Let me tell you. Yeah, and thank you very much for popping in, and
Oh,
thank you very much for the conversation. It's been wonderful. Uh, I really do appreciate it.
well, and
So
I do appreciate the invitation from you and Joe Dog and all that. You guys make me feel very very welcome in that. I'd like to get Josh in there some night. We could.
hey,
He
yeah,
has like I said, he has a plethora of information, not just about weather related things, but other things too. And he, like I say, kind of more down from your area
yeah,
than mine in that. And he that uh, I just I'm glad that he is at least coming on here and watching the show and commenting, participating that way, at
yeah,
least for
and
now. So
it's been fun having him in the comment section. I'd be more
yeah,
than happy to have him actually on screen with us. But
okay,
that's if he wants to do it, that's fine. We can set it up. I mean,
okay,
we don't have any scripts or anything here, and rarely have anything like a commercial. But yeah,
yeah,
things could change if somebody decided to throw a bucket of money at me. But
yeah,
that's about as likely to happen as me becoming a Republican. Let me tell you, no
yep.
way.
Well, you never know. Stranger things have happened there, Dan. I'll tell you.
That one would be
And
pretty strange.
and
Let me
and
tell you.
and if you've forgotten that, you got to remember everything from last year. So, and that's about as
Uh,
strange as it gotten in a long time.
I do remember last year vividly, and I remember the last. Well, I can't say the last 60 years because I didn't really remember anything up until about 1963 or thereabouts, and then I started remembering stuff. But evidently, I was a slow developer, so I spent like 6 years of my life without knowing what I was doing at the time, and
Oh
just playing like any other kid. Well, uh, you have a good night, and I'll try and do the
yeah. Yep.
same. Let me hit the outro here, And there's not going to be a after show. Let me tell you that. I seem to have established a copyright on the after show sort of thing. So
Okay.
I'm kind of happy about that, but there are nights when even Johnny Carson didn't want to show up, so Joey Bishop did instead. So
Well,
that tells you how old I am.
Oh yeah, same here.
All right. Well, good night, Bill, and thank you very much for being here.
Bye con Dios, amigo. Bye.